Hi, Talbot. I hope you're well. You can feel the change of season in the air right now, the drop in temperature. You can feel it in the breeze. You can see it on the leaves of the trees, as some of the leaves on the trees even start to turn already. And with the change of season, we're going to be changing focus, not only on Sunday mornings, where after this Sunday we're going to launch into a brand new series of study, but we're also going to switch focus in terms of what we're doing midweek. I've been doing these Psalms since the middle of March, and it's now the beginning of September. And so after this week, we're going to start something new, and so this is going to be our last Psalm. But it's going to be a good Psalm. This is Psalm 90. It says, "Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God." Right away, the psalmist places God outside of the scope of time. He places God outside of the scope of the confines of this world, and he says, you were there before. You've been our dwelling place from generation to generation. As we come and go, you remain the same. And yet you return man to dust and say, "Return, O children of man. For 1,000 years in your sight are as but as yesterday when it is past, or as a watch in the night. You sweep them away with a flood. They are like a dream, like grass that is renewed in the morning. In the morning it flourishes and is renewed. In the evening it fades and withers." Unlike God, we are temporal. We are defined by a certain amount of time we have to walk this earth and to live here. I'm standing in the midst of tombstones, which remind us of the people who are here no longer. Families, children, people we've lost. They remind us that life is short. The psalmist goes on, "For we are brought to an end by your anger. You have set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your presence. For all our days pass away under your wrath. We bring our years to an end like a sigh. The years of our life are 70, or even by reason of strength 80. Yet their span is but toil and trouble. They are soon gone, and we fly away. Who considers the power of your anger and your wrath according to the fear of you?" Here the psalmist makes the connection between death and sin. The reason for all this death, the reason why our lives are cut short, the reason why the span of our lives are filled with toil and trouble and struggle is because of our sin. And the psalmist honestly declares the truth that our sin is the problem. Our sin places us under the wrath and the anger of God. And yet, even with all of this being said, he says something so profound in verse 12, and this is what I want to focus on today. He says, "So teach us to number our days, so that we may get a heart of wisdom." Teach us to number our days, so that we may get a heart of wisdom. It's only in recognizing our own mortality, in recognizing the limited amount of time that we have on this earth, that wisdom starts to come. The reason why the young are so unwise often is because they don't want to think about their own death. It's so far away. Hopefully it's so far away. And our society has embraced that thought process. We put off death. We put off death. We try to look young. We try to stay young. We try to live young for as long as we can so that we don't have to think about death. And yet it's in not thinking about it, in ignoring death, we ignore our road towards gaining that heart of wisdom that is so valuable, that allows us to live a meaningful and a valuable life. "Return, O Lord, how long? Have pity on your servants. Satisfy us in the morning with your steadfast love, that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. Make us glad for as many days as you have afflicted us, and for as many years as we have seen evil. Let your work be shown to your servants, and your glorious power to their children. Let the favor of the Lord be upon us, and establish the work of our hands upon us. Yes, establish the work of our hands. Once we come to grips with our own mortality, once we come to grips with the fact that, yes, we are going to die, it's then that we can move forward and recognize God's blessing. So God's blessing that's present in the midst of the years of affliction and in the midst of the years of struggle. It's then where we can actually do work, establish the work of our hands. We can do something that lasts, that's meaningful, not just for ourselves and our lifetime, but for the lifetime of our kids and grandkids. And beyond that, things that are worth eternal, have eternal worth, and things that will last into eternity, like working for the kingdom of God. So, in saying all this, what I'd like to encourage you to do is to embrace the struggle. Embrace the mental struggle, the physical struggle, that it is to think about your own mortality, to think about death, to think about the reality of death. Don't dwell on it all the time. Don't allow it to sink you down. We all need breaks, but don't ignore it. Don't put it off. Wrestle with it, and wrestle with it so that you might gain that heart of wisdom that is promised. God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you on Sunday.